The silent strike. The quantum sensors aboard New Aurora Station registered the anomaly exactly 3 seconds before the first strike. Dr. Elena Santos looked up from her holographic display, her expression shifting from curiosity to horror as she recognized the significance of the reading. The Meridian warships had somehow masked their approach until the very last moment, emerging from quantum space practically on top of the research station. Defense systems online. The station's AI announced with impossible calm. Detecting 743 hostile vessels. Class: Meridian Dominion. Configuration: Combat. Elena's hands flew across the control interface, initiating emergency protocols. Around her, 3,000 of humanity's brightest minds continued their work, unaware that their lives were about to change forever. The New Aurora Station, humanity's most advanced research facility, housed breakthrough projects in clean energy, dimensional physics, and neural interface technology. Not a single weapon in development, not that the Meridians would believe that. This is Director Santos to all personnel. She broadcast station-wide. Emergency Protocol Omega is now in effect. This is not a drill. Her voice remained steady, years of crisis training kicking in. All research data is to be quantum encrypted and transmitted to Earth through the emergency channels. Initiate total database purge once transmission is complete. The first impacts rocked the station. The Meridians hadn't even attempted communication, hadn't issued demands or warnings. This wasn't a negotiation. It was an execution. "Ma'am," her assistant director, James Chen, called from his station. "The quantum transmission is being blocked. They're using some kind of interference field we've never seen before." Elena's mind raced. The Meridian Alliance had always been suspicious of humanity's rapid technological advancement. But this was beyond paranoia. They'd convinced themselves that New Aurora was a weapons research facility, a threat to their dominion over local space. The truth, that humanity had achieved its advances through cooperation and innovation rather than military might, would die with them if they couldn't get the data out. The station shuddered again, harder this time. Emergency force fields flickered as they struggled to maintain atmospheric integrity. Elena watched as sections of the massive structure began to go dark on her display, entire research wings being systematically destroyed. "Director," the AI interrupted. "I've detected a pattern in their quantum interference. There's a microsecond delay in their field generation. If we modify our transmission protocols, we might be able to." Another hit. The main power core went critical, sending cascading failures through the station's systems. Elena made her decision. "Upload yourself to the transmission buffer," she ordered the AI. "Take all the research data you can. When I give the signal, transmit through the gap in their interference. We'll only get one shot at this." The AI complied without question. Around them, the station was dying. Emergency pods launched in streams, carrying as many researchers as possible, but Elena knew the Meridian ships would target them next. The attack wasn't just about destroying the station. It was about eliminating any trace of the knowledge it contained. "Buffer loaded," the AI reported. "Awaiting your signal, Director." Elena took a deep breath, her fingers hovering over the final command sequence. The station's remaining power had been rerouted to the quantum transmitter, leaving them vulnerable to the next barrage. Through the observation dome above her command center, she could see the Meridian ships, elegant, deadly vessels that looked like abstract art rendered in metal and energy fields. "James," she said quietly, "get to an escape pod." "With respect, Director, I'm staying right here." She nodded, not surprised by his loyalty. "Then let's make this count." Her fingers flew across the interface one last time, initiating power surge to the quantum transmitter. "AI, prepare to transmit on my mark." The station's lights dimmed as power was diverted. On her screens, Elena could see the Meridian ships repositioning for their final attack run. They had seconds at most. "For what it's worth," the AI said, "it has been an honor, Director Santos." Elena smiled sadly. The honor was mine. Now, the quantum transmitter surged to life, pushing through the microsecond gap in the meridian interference. In that fraction of a second, terabytes of data, the accumulated knowledge of humanity's greatest scientific achievements, along with the truth about this unprovoked attack, streamed toward Earth. The last thing Elena saw was the successful transmission confirmation, followed by a blinding flash as the Meridian ships opened fire. New Aurora Station, humanity's brightest beacon of scientific progress, died in fire and silence. But its message had gotten through. And humanity, for all its apparent peace and restraint, had never forgotten how to fight back. In the quantum data streams racing toward Earth, encrypted among the research files and sensor logs, was a simple message from Elena Santos. They struck without warning, without cause. Remember us not for how we died, but for why we lived. To push the boundaries of knowledge, to build rather than destroy. And now, humanity must decide what to do with that legacy. The message would reach Earth in exactly 6 hours. And in those 6 hours, the galaxy would learn why humanity's peaceful nature had always been a choice, not a limitation. The price of assumption. Admiral Thera Voss stood before the United Earth Defense Council, her holographic display showing the last moments of New Aurora Station. The chamber was silent as the recording ended with Dr. Santos's final transmission. 6 hours had passed since the attack, and in that time, humanity had already set in motion plans centuries in the making. The Meridian Alliance believes they've struck a decisive blow against a perceived threat. Admiral Voss stated, her voice carrying across the chamber. What they don't know is that they've just triggered Protocol Lazarus. The council members exchanged knowing looks. Protocol Lazarus, humanity's ultimate contingency plan, had been established after first contact, when they realized just how dangerous the galaxy could be. While presenting a peaceful, primarily scientific face to the galaxy, humanity had quietly prepared for the worst. Initialize the Prometheus network, ordered Council President Chen, his aged features set with grim determination. Throughout the solar system and beyond, massive structures began to emerge from dimensional pocket spaces, automated manufacturing facilities that had been secretly constructed and maintained for generations. Each facility was a marvel of engineering, capable of producing advanced warships at a rate that would seem impossible to most spacefaring races. The Meridians assumed our limited military presence meant limited capability, Voss continued, bringing up new displays. They never questioned why a species with our level of scientific advancement hadn't expanded further into the galaxy. They never wondered why we focused so heavily on dimensional physics and quantum engineering. The displays showed real-time data as the Prometheus network came online. Quantum signatures flared across space as facility after facility activated. The construction of humanity's response fleet had already begun. What they're about to learn, Voss said, is that every scientific breakthrough we shared with the galaxy was carefully chosen. Every technology we revealed was calculated to appear impressive but not threatening. We didn't build weapons because we didn't want to, not because we couldn't. The first wave of ships was already taking form in the dimensional docks. They were unlike anything the galaxy had seen. Vessels that incorporated all the advances humanity had kept hidden. Quantum phase technology that made traditional shields obsolete. Neural interface systems that allowed for instant, telepathic crew coordination. Dimensional slip drives that could ignore the normal laws of space-time. Our response must be measured, President Chen cautioned. We are not seeking revenge, but justice. The galaxy must understand that our peace was a gift, not a weakness. Agreed, Voss replied. Which is why we're not just going to defeat the Meridian fleet. We're going to show them exactly what they failed to understand about humanity. In orbit around Earth, the first completed vessels of humanity's true fleet emerged from their dimensional birthplaces. They were beautiful and terrible to behold. Organic curves blended with geometric precision, their hulls shimming with quantum fields that made them seem almost alive. Dr. Santos and her team died protecting knowledge meant to benefit all species, Voss continued. Their final gift to us was proof that the Meridians cannot be trusted with their current level of power. It's time to reshape the balance of the galaxy. The council chambers erupted in focused activity as orders were issued and battle plans were formed. But this would be unlike any conflict the galaxy had witnessed. Humanity wasn't just planning to win a war. They were planning to fundamentally change how interspecies relations worked. In the dimensional docks, production continued at impossible speeds. Each ship was a testament to human ingenuity, not just in their military capability, but in their dual-purpose design. Every weapon system could be converted for peaceful use. Every military technology had a civilian application. They were building not just a fleet, but a demonstration of what humanity had always believed, that true power came from the ability to choose peace while being prepared for war. As Admiral Voss left the council chambers, she received word that the first wave of ships was ready. The Meridians had struck thinking they were preventing a threat from emerging. Instead, they had triggered exactly what they had feared, but not in the way they had imagined. Humanity was about to show the galaxy that their greatest strength wasn't in their weapons or their ships, but in their ability to wield power with wisdom and restraint. The price of the Meridians' assumption was about to become very clear indeed. Operation Daybreak. Grand Admiral Kelvin of the Meridian Alliance stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Eternal Dawn, reviewing the reports from the New Aurora operation. Victory had been absolute. The station was destroyed, its personnel eliminated, and any research data presumably lost. The Alliance could rest easy knowing they had prevented another species from challenging their dominance. Then the quantum alarms began to scream. Multiple signatures detected, his sensor officer shouted. They're everywhere. Sir, I've never seen readings like these. The tactical display lit up like a constellation being born. Ships were appearing throughout Meridian space, but not through any known form of FTL travel. They seemed to simply fade into existence, as if space itself was giving birth to them. Impossible, Kelvin whispered, watching the numbers climb. These weren't just ships, they were works of art, their designs so advanced that they barely registered as artificial constructs on Meridian sensors. A communication request flashed across his screen. The sender identification simply read, Admiral Voss, Earth Defense Force. With trembling fingers, Kelvin accepted the transmission. The human admiral appeared before him, her hologram displaying a calm authority that made his heart stutter. Grand Admiral Kelvin, she said, I trust I have your attention. What is this? He demanded, trying to maintain his composure. How did you bypass our defensive networks? The same way we've hidden our true capabilities for centuries, Voss replied. By understanding that space, time, and dimension are far more flexible than most species imagine. Your sensors are detecting our ships now because we want them to. Around the Meridian fleet, the human vessels took position with impossible precision. Their movements defied known physics, their formations creating patterns that seemed to ripple through space itself. Your attack on New Aurora Station was based on a fundamental misunderstanding, Voss continued. You assumed that because we focused on scientific research, we must be developing weapons. The truth is far simpler. We were trying to help make the galaxy a better place for all species. Kelvin's tactical officer was practically hyperventilating as she analyzed the human ships. Sir, their technology, it's beyond anything in our databases. These aren't just warships. They're like something out of legend. You have 1 hour to surrender all forces involved in the New Aurora attack, Voss stated. Not for punishment, but for education. We intend to show them exactly what they destroyed. The medical breakthroughs, the clean energy solutions, the faster-than-light travel innovations that would have benefited all species. And if we refuse? Kelvin asked, already knowing the answer. Then we demonstrate why humanity chose to focus on peace rather than power. A small smile crossed Voss's face. Though I should warn you, The ships you're seeing represent less than 1% of our total production capability. The Prometheus network has barely begun to wake up." As if to emphasize her point, more ships continued to appear, each one more impressive than the last. But what truly terrified Kelvin wasn't their numbers or their obvious technological superiority. It was the fact that none of them had powered up their weapons systems. This wasn't a battle fleet preparing for war. This was a civilized society expressing disappointment. "Your hour begins now," Voss said. "I suggest you spend it contemplating the difference between power and wisdom. Humanity has had both for longer than you've known we existed. It's time for the Meridian Alliance to decide which path they wish to follow." The transmission ended, leaving Kelvin staring at the tactical display. The human ships had arranged themselves into a pattern that his scientists would later realize was a mathematical proof of dimensional transit theory, casual demonstration of knowledge that made the Meridian Alliance's greatest achievements look like child's play. In the hour that followed, as Kelvin transmitted the situation to his superiors, he finally understood what his people had actually destroyed at New Aurora. It wasn't a weapons research facility or a military installation. It was something far more valuable. A chance for the galaxy to grow beyond the need for such things. The humans hadn't hidden their capabilities out of fear. They had hidden them out of consideration for species that weren't ready to handle such power responsibly. And now, forced to reveal themselves, they chose to do so not with revenge, but with an offer of enlightenment. The Meridian Alliance had 1 hour to decide if they were ready to learn. The awakening. The decision, when it came, wasn't what anyone expected. Supreme Chancellor Vex of the Meridian Alliance did something unprecedented in their species' history. She asked for help. "We surrender those responsible for the New Aurora attack," she transmitted to Admiral Voss, her crystalline features reflecting the light of 1,000 human ships. "But more than that, we request guidance. You've shown us how little we truly understand about the universe, about power, about wisdom." Voss stood on her bridge, considering the implications. This wasn't just a military victory. It was a cultural turning point for an entire civilization. "Chancellor," she replied, "acceptance of one's limitations is the first step toward transcending them. We accept your surrender and your request." What followed would be remembered as the Great Awakening. Humanity began sharing carefully selected portions of their advanced knowledge. But more importantly, they shared their philosophy of power and responsibility. The Meridian officers who had participated in the New Aurora attack were indeed taken into custody, not to be punished, but to be shown exactly what they had destroyed. They walked through quantum reconstructions of the station's laboratories, witnessed the medical breakthroughs that could have saved billions of lives, and saw the clean energy technologies that could have transformed worlds. "This," Voss explained to a group of Meridian commanders, "is why we chose to appear limited. Your society, like many others, measured progress through military might. We measured it through its benefit to all sentient life." In the months that followed, other species began to understand the true extent of human advancement. The dimensional pocket spaces that housed the Prometheus network weren't just manufacturing facilities. They were entire civilizations, research centers, and cultural preserves. Humanity had created parallel dimensions of possibility, not for conquest, but for exploration and growth. "Your quantum drives," a Meridian scientist named Kex observed with wonder. "They're not actually about faster-than-light travel, are they?" "No," replied Dr. James Chen, one of the few survivors of New Aurora who had been off-station during the attack. "They're about understanding that space and time are constructs of consciousness. We learn to fold space not by mastering physics, but by understanding our place within it." The revelations continued. Humanity's neural interface technology wasn't designed for combat coordination. It was meant to facilitate understanding between species. Their quantum phase technology wasn't for weapons, but for healing tears in spacetime. Every advancement that seemed military in nature had originated from a desire to protect and preserve. But perhaps the most shocking discovery came when the Meridians were finally allowed to visit Earth itself. They had expected a heavily fortified military world. Instead, they found a paradise where technology and nature existed in perfect harmony. Massive cities floated in the sky, their quantum fields actually cleaning the atmosphere. The oceans teemed with engineered coral that absorbed pollution and restored marine ecosystems. This is what we were trying to share through New Aurora, Voss explained to Chancellor Vex during her first visit to Earth. Not weapons or ways to destroy, but methods to preserve, protect, and grow. Your attack didn't just kill our people, it set back our efforts to help all species achieve this level of harmony. The Meridian Chancellor stood in one of Earth's floating gardens, watching as children played with holographic creatures that seemed as real as any living thing. We were so afraid of being surpassed, she admitted, that we never considered the possibility of being uplifted. Fear, Voss replied, is the enemy of wisdom, but it's never too late to choose a different path. As news of Earth's true nature spread throughout the galaxy, other species began to approach humanity not with fear or aggression, but with hope. The attack on New Aurora, tragic as it was, had forced humanity to reveal not just their technological superiority, but their philosophical evolution. The age of military posturing was ending. A new era of genuine cooperation and growth was beginning. And humanity, after centuries of careful preparation, was ready to guide the galaxy toward a future they had long ago glimpsed, but chosen to wait for others to be ready to share. A new dawn. 5 years after the New Aurora incident, the site of the destroyed station became the location of something unprecedented. The Galactic Concordat, a new station, far larger than its predecessor, took shape in the quantum-warped space. But this wasn't just a research facility or a memorial. It was the physical manifestation of humanity's vision for the future. Dr. James Chen, now serving as Earth's chief ambassador of scientific exchange, stood at the center of the station's grand amphitheater. Around him, representatives from every known spacefaring species gathered for the official inauguration. The station itself was a testament to what was possible when technology served wisdom. Its very structure existed partially in normal space and partially in dimension-shifted reality, allowing it to serve as both a physical hub and a quantum nexus for galactic cooperation. 5 years ago, Chen began, his voice carrying to every corner of the vast chamber. We lost something precious here, but from that loss, we gained something even more valuable, understanding. The holographic displays activated, showing the station's true nature. It wasn't just a diplomatic center or research facility. It was the first of what humanity called nexus points, locations where the boundaries between physical space and quantum reality grew thin enough to access the dimensional knowledge archives humanity had spent centuries creating. Today, Chen continued, we open not just a station, but a door. Through it lies the sum total of human scientific knowledge, freely available to any species ready to embrace the responsibility that comes with it. Chancellor Vex of the Meridian Alliance, now serving as the first non-human member of Earth's Scientific Ethics Council, stepped forward. 5 years ago, we attacked this location because we feared what humanity might become. We never imagined they had already become something far greater than we could comprehend. The station's quantum core activated, connecting to the dimensional archives. Around the amphitheater, displays showed glimpses of technologies beyond most species' imagining. But they weren't weapons or tools of war. They were solutions to problems that had plagued civilizations since the beginning of time. Clean energy systems that could power entire worlds without damage. Medical technologies that could cure genetic diseases across species barriers. Environmental restoration systems that could make dead worlds bloom again. This, Ambassador Chen said, gesturing to the displays, is humanity's true legacy. Not our ships, not our dimensional technology, not our quantum manipulation abilities. Our legacy is the understanding that power without wisdom is meaningless, and that the greatest strength lies in lifting others up rather than holding them down. The station's eye, a quantum-enhanced consciousness that housed a backup of New Aurora's original artificial intelligence, joined the presentation. The knowledge contained in these archives represents tens of thousands of years of human development, compressed into forms that can be understood and implemented by any civilization ready to receive them. But more importantly, it contains the philosophical and ethical frameworks that prevented humanity from destroying itself with its own advancement. Throughout the galaxy, similar nexus points were already under construction, each designed to serve as a gateway to knowledge and understanding. The Meridian Alliance, once the galaxy's greatest military power, had redirected its vast industrial capacity toward helping build these stations. Other species followed suit, recognizing that the future lay not in competition, but in cooperation. But perhaps, Chen said, approaching the conclusion of the ceremony, the greatest lesson we can share is one that humanity learned long ago. True power lies not in what you can do, but in what you choose not to do. We hid our capabilities not out of fear, but out of hope. Hope that when the time came, other species would understand why we waited. The quantum displays showed one final image. The original New Aurora station, peaceful and pristine in its last moments. We dedicate this new beginning to those who lost their lives here, Chen said softly. They died protecting knowledge meant to benefit all. Their sacrifice showed us that the galaxy was ready for change, though not in the way anyone expected. As the ceremony concluded, representatives from dozens of species came forward to sign the Galactic Concordat, a document that established not just rules for interaction between species, but principles for the responsible development and sharing of advanced technology. It was the dawn of a new age, one where the boundaries between species began to fade in the light of shared knowledge and understanding.